Okay, so this is just a video to give you an idea of how to use shared folders and how this is especially for those people who are running a server version. The guest edition is not useful for them, okay, because they can't even copy text from the host machine to the guest machine. The guest editions is basically useless without any desktop environment. So I'll also show you how to access your guest OS from your host OS through another way. So one way is you create a shared folder. So to do that, this is my machine. It is the same machine that I have shared with you guys. In fact, I deleted it so that I can uh, go back to the same state. So I have simply imported it uh, from the from the virtual machine OVA that I have shared with you guys. So this is just an imported state. And one more thing is please use snapshots. Okay, I'll just show you how snapshots work. So this is a snapshot that I created. So as soon as I imported the machine, all you have to do is just go here, right click, and then just say take. So take would actually take a snapshot. So snapshot means you have basically taken a photograph of the machine and you can go back to this state. I'll just show you how it works. So I have just taken a snapshot before I start. Now the next thing that I'm going to do is here in the settings part there is I'm not sure how it shows up in Windows, but there will be some place where it says shared folders. So I'm just going to go here. Now there is a button here, it says adds new shared folder. So I'm just going to add that. It will ask me for what folder. So this folder is on your host OS. Okay, this is not your guest OS folder. So it essentially is asking me, please tell me a folder on your host machine that you would like to share with your guest machine. So I'm just going to select my home folder maybe. uh, okay, and just click auto mount. Okay, and it says mount point. So essentially what happens is in Ubuntu, uh, any additional storage devices that you add, so if you add, let us say, a pen drive to an Ubuntu system, or you add something in the CD drive, the place where it actually gets mounted is slash media. Okay, slash media is the place where it gets mounted. So I'm just going to say slash media and slash host. Okay, you can actually give any name to this point. Even if you leave this alone, it will be mounted with some default name, but here I am giving it an explicit name. It says slash media slash host. So now this host, this particular folder will appear as if it's a pen drive that is attached to your machine, and when you'll open it, the folder that gets opened will be my home folder on my host machine. Okay, this is my host machine. The host operating system here is Mac, and the guest operating system here is Ubuntu. So basically Ubuntu will be able to access my home folder on Mac. So I'll just make it okay. Did I? Yeah, auto mount is yes. Okay. um, so now I'll just start this. So the username and password is Ubuntu and Ubuntu. uh, Probably I forgot to write this in the email that I sent, but the username is Ubuntu and Ubuntu. So anyhow, so you can now see that the host thing that I wrote there, right? it has been mounted here as if it is a new disk basically. Okay, and if you open this, this is my home folder actually on Mac. Okay, in fact, one way to show how to share files is here. Let's just go to this place, slash media. This is the place that I'm going to, slash media slash host, and let us just create a file here. Now on my Mac, this is the file. Okay, this is the file. This file actually has been created by my guest operating system. I can also write something here, and if I do a cat sample, this hi is here. Okay, so this is a very simple way to share data from your guest operating system with your host operating system. So there is a common folder. Whatever you put here, you can access it here, and whatever you put here, you can access it here, right? So very simple. So this is one way to do it. By the way, there is this VM that I have created. In this I already added yeah, so there is one more issue that you have to understand. So let's go to slash media. um, there is something here, this is root and this is vbox sf. Okay, so essentially what happens is on Linux there is a, I did not talk about it because it will probably make it too complicated for you guys, but on Linux the access control mechanisms, um, they actually work in a different fashion as compared to, let us say, Windows. So in Linux what we really say is a particular folder. So let us say this is the folder, this is the directory, and this directory has an owner. So root is basically the owner of this directory. So it is the uh, root user which created this directory, and then there is a group for this directory. So group means this is another way of Linux in which you can actually give access to certain other users of your folders or your directories without sharing it with everyone. Okay, so this is a way of access control in Linux, that you can create a group, and if you want you can add 1 2 3 users in that group, and then you can actually share a particular directory with just that group. So you don't really need to go into too much details of that. So basically what is happening here is that there is a group called vbox sf. This is created by Virtualbox itself, provided you have the guest editions already installed. Okay, you need to install guest editions in order to be able to share folders. So what happens is there is a file, uh, this etc group. Okay, so let me just so in this file it basically says that in the vbox sf group how many users are there. So currently the Ubuntu user is a part of the vbox sf group. It is possible that you may not be a part of this group. Then I think the command is user mod, right? Yeah, so there is a command called user mod, or okay, I get confused every time with this. Is it modify a user mod, or maybe it is group mod? uh, yeah, it is group mod, I guess. Man group mod, minus g, there will be a minus a command, I think. Okay, I can actually just search here. Yeah, I don't always remember the syntax. It's pretty easy actually. I mean, in Linux, you can simply uh, go online and check. So all I'm checking for is add a user to a group Ubuntu. Okay, and this will actually give you the answer. So sometimes I simply forget the. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, this is that. It is user mod only, not group mod. So this is the command: user mod minus a minus g, um, group name and username. Okay, so basically, if you are not able to access your shared folders, if it says permission denied or something like this, so essentially this is what you'll have to do. You have to run this command sudo user mod minus a minus g. In place of group name, you have to put exactly vbox sf, vbo xsf, and username is basically the name of the account with which you are operating this. So for example, in my case, I have logged in with the account Ubuntu. So the command would become sudo user mod minus a minus g vbox sf space Ubuntu. So this is in case you're getting that permission denied kind of errors. You just add your Ubuntu user, or your user, the user with which you are operating, to the vbox sf group, and then you will get access to this shared folder. Okay, in my case, I'm not sure whether I added it explicitly or okay, I don't really remember, so maybe I may have added it explicitly, but the idea is it is a part of of my of my vbox sf group. So this is one way to access data, and this is one way to transfer data from your host to guest and guest to host. There's one more way that I would like to show you. uh, so let me just switch this off. This way is actually more useful for people who are running the server machine, because in server you can't really do all these things. So in fact, let me show you the advantages of these you know snapshots. So let me just take another snapshot. I will call it added a shared folder. Okay, now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to restore uh, a previous snapshot. Now when I start this machine again, you will see that there will be no shared folder at all. So essentially what I have done is I have restored the state of my machine to a previous point in time. Okay, this was before I added the shared folders. So this time you won't see any shared folders at all. Okay, so there is nothing here, and if you go to slash media, there's nothing here, right? I mean, slash ubuntu is basically the that's kind of default mounting. That so your virtual box has not added any shared folders here as of now. So I'm just going to close this. This was just to show you that how does this snapshotting works. um, so I'll just go back to this. Okay, so now my shared folders will be back. So another thing that you can do is something like this. Go into the network part of your VM. So essentially you are allowed to have up to 4 network cards attached to your virtual machine. Currently I have only added one. Let us add one more. just make it enabled, and do this instead of NAT, select host only adapter. Now I have already created a host only adapter, so I am getting something here. You will not get it. Okay, in order to do that, I should probably share another link. So essentially, uh, there will be somewhere. Let me just show it to you. So here there is a host network manager. Okay, and you can go and create another host network here. Okay, so this is basically another network that will be there between your host machine and your guest machine. So as I said, one way to share files is through shared folders, and this is basically through a network connection. So now your guest operating system can your guest machine can actually send data to your host machine and vice versa with the help of a network connection. So I have just created it. You will not have it by default. You'll have to come here and create uh, a host manager, actually a host network. Once you have that host network, all you have to do is just go here in the settings and you know uh, add another network interface to your machine and make it host only adapter. And this is what I created. Just click OK. Now start your machine. Now I have actually basically added another network interface card to my VM. So now it has two network interface cards. And okay, by the way, this is back because I restored the right snapshot. Okay, so the first thing you have to do is issue a command called IP. So it says IP space A. Okay, now you can leave this LO1, just leave this part. um, this is your network interface card that you are currently using. So this is the card with the help of which your VM is able to access internet. This is a new network interface card that you are seeing here. Okay, um, this is the network interface card which because of which you are able to you will be able to connect to your guest to your host operating system. Now this has actually happened automatically because I'm running a desktop version. If you want to do it in the server version this will not happen directly. You'll have to go to a file. What is it? etc netplan, sorry, sudo netplan, yeah, something like this. Okay, I haven't installed vim. I can simply use vi. Okay, so this is actually using network manager on your let me go here, netplan. So you will have some files here. In server version this will not be 01. This will be something else. I'm not sure what it would be, but what you'll have to do is it you'll have to actually go and create an entry for your second network interface card. So this will not happen by default in the server version. Maybe I'll just send you another if any one of you want to configure that second network interface card, just drop me an email. I'll tell you what to do. But just let us see what is happening now. The second network interface card has been configured. This in a desktop environment, it actually gets configured directly. So this is what I just said, IP space A. Now this is an IP address that you can see here. Okay, 192.168.56.102. In order to copy this, just use a Control Shift C. I have also enabled clipboard, by the way. So because you have guest additions, whatever you copy from here, you can simply come and paste it here. So I do this. Sorry. So what is currently happening is this window. Okay, this window is at my host operating system. This is a window of Mac, and this is a window of Ubuntu. So I'm able to access my virtual machine from Mac. Okay, now there is a command with the help of which you can open a shell. Okay, and it is SSH. You can also do this, I guess. Okay, so this is so if you guys remember, in the video that I shared, where I was installing Ubuntu 18 server, there was a screen where it asks me to install OpenSSH server. Okay, and I had clicked yes. So that was the reason. So this is basically the OpenSSH client. Okay, with the help of this, you can connect to any machine where there is an OpenSSH server running. So now I'm not sure whether there is an OpenSSH server here or not. So one way to do that is simply do sudo apt install open open SSH server. Okay, so this I'm doing on the guest operating system, right? So I want a server to run on my guest operating system. If you installed the server version of Ubuntu, and you selected OpenSSH server, then you will not require doing this. But because this is the desktop version, SSH server is not there by default. So now this is installed. So now what I can do is something like this. This is the IP address that I have picked using the IP space A command. Now what I do is SSH, the name of the account that I'm using here in the guest operating system. The name of the account is Ubuntu at the rate this. Okay, so Ubuntu at the rate IP address. This is what I'm doing. This will ask me for something. Just say yes. Then it asks me for the password. This is the same password as the password for the Ubuntu account here. Okay, so I'll just type Ubuntu, and now whatever you are seeing here, okay, you can see the same prompt. It is the same prompt as this. Okay, why? Because now you are working on this machine, the you know the guest operating system. So this is for those people, for example, who are having a server machine and your size of the screen is very small. Okay, you can increase the size, but that is actually a very complicated thing. The easier thing to do is you just SSH into your server machine and start using it from your host machine. Now in Mac, I had this SSH command by default. Uh, there is a tool called putty. Yeah, let me just see if I have that putty. Putty. So if you are on Windows, just use this tool. With the help of this tool, you can actually do an SSH on a on your Linux virtual machine. And I think I showed this in the AWS video as well, that you can use putty to connect to your AWS machine. So yeah, so this is how you can access your This is the way to log into your virtual machine. And if you want to transfer a file from here to here or here to here, the way to do that is similar to SSH. There is another command called SFTP. So FTP stands for File Transfer Protocol. Okay, so now what I have done is I have, and the password is exactly the same, Ubuntu and Ubuntu. But in with SSH I can actually run normal shell commands. With SFTP I can transfer files. I can transfer file from my uh, guest operating system to host operating system and vice versa. Okay, so if I want to get a file from my guest operating system, I use the pull command. Okay, it makes sense. Pull a file from here to here. And if I want to send a file from my guest from my host to my guest, I use the push command. So if you remember, um, I created a file called sample, right? Which will be here. So I'll just say, yeah, um, so this exclamation ls, what it does is it shows me the files that are there in the current directory on the host machine. If I do an if I do ls without the exclamation mark, it shows me the files in the current directory on the guest machine. So essentially, when you do an SFTP, there are two directories. There is a remote directory and there is a host directory. So host directory, if I want to check what is my host directory, I do this exclamation and I do pwd. So this is the directory I am currently in on my Mac, and if I do a pwd, this is the directory on um, the guest operating system. So basically, why these directories are important, I can now transfer a file from this directory to this directory and vice versa, and this directory is on my host and this directory is on my guest. So so if you remember, I have a file called sample which was created through that shared folder thing. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to send this file from my host to my guest. So I do push and sample. Okay, uh, sorry, the push and pull is I think in, okay, I'm probably sorry, I extremely sorry. So it is not push and pull, it is put and get. Yeah, even I mixed it up with another thing that I was doing. So this is put sample. Okay, so it says that my file has been sent. Now here the sample file is here. Let me create one more file here. Let's call it sample2. And if I want to get sample2 from here to here, I actually do get sample2. Okay, now let us just exit. Now I have the sample2 file here. So this is another way in which you can send file from this point to this point and this point to this point. If you have any queries, you can always get back to me on email, but this was what I was trying to show you. Okay, thank you.